Welcome to the UFO Report. With this episode, I wanted to bring to your attention certain people and personalities that you should be aware of. I think have interesting things to say. Now, before we continue, let me just make a statement. First of all, I don't have a script with this video, so I'm not gonna be reading off the script. So just bear with me if things don't come out perfect, and I'm not gonna try to edit this video. Now, the other statement I want to make is, when it comes to UFOs, is I believe that there are unidentified flying objects. I believe that 100% that's happening. Now, I'm not sure if they're aliens or human aircraft. I'm not sure that they're aliens coming from outer space. Is it possible? Yes. The universe is so big that it's so huge that there's millions and billions of stars out there that there has to be life. The probability, of not being any more life out there, I think, is zero. So I believe that there's life out there. I'm not sure if they have traveled to Earth. It is possible, considering that if another form of life had billions of years to develop and evolve, that yes, they might have the technology to come and travel here. But in my case, I cannot state that I believe 100% that there's aliens on Earth. Is it possible? Yes. Have they visited us? Probably. I don't, but I just wanted to make that statement so you know where I stand in this whole entire UFO phenomena. Now, let's continue on with why I'm making this video, which is to talk to you about certain people that are interesting and that you should take a look at. The first guy that I'm going to mention is Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar, I heard of him for a while, for a long time, and I just recently, for the first time, watched a few of his videos, especially one documentary that he made himself, where he talks about propulsion and anti-gravity technology. Then he also talks a little bit about supposedly documents that he read, talking about aliens that have been visiting this planet, and supposedly these aliens been visiting our planets for at least 10,000 years, according to him. So Bob Lazar is an interesting character because he claims to have worked at Area 51 back in the late 80s. It has not been verified, but there's some information that out there that suggests that he did work for a contractor at that time in that area. Now, Bob Lazar also claims to have a degree from Caltech and MIT, but recently, or at least that hasn't been verified. Stanton Friedman, who's actually a ufologist, claims to have tried to verify that information, and he has not been able to do so. There's many reasons. Bob Lazar became public with all this, his statement, his story, and there's possibilities that, yeah, these colleges don't want to acknowledge that he went there, or some other things are happening in the background. They're actually another thing that's interesting about Bob Lazar is that there's other people that corroborate some of his story, including John Lear. Now, John Lear has some videos here on YouTube. You can look him up. He claims, and I actually saw this recently on TV. There's a show on the History Channel called Brad Meltzer's Decoded. They had an episode on Area 51, and they actually interviewed John Lear. John Lear, he is a pilot who has earned every single FAA license. He's one of the most decorated pilots in the world, and he claims that he actually hung out with Bob Lazar back in the 80s, and that Bob Lazar took him into an area of Area 51, and to show him the UFOs, UFOs being tested and flying. And John Lear says that, yeah, this actually happened. He said it on national TV the other day, like I said, on Brad Meltzer's Decoded on the History Channel. So that's very interesting. Now, John Lear, I cannot find other information about him on the internet, but I know he's the son of Bill Lear, or William Lear, the inventor of the Learjet. He also Bill Lear also invented the 8-track, and he's also sort of a founder of the company Motorola. He Bill Lear had a radio coil business that he sold to Paul Gavin of Gavin Manufacturing. Bill Lear and Gavin had this idea of making these like transportable radios in cars, and they came up with the name together of Motorola. It was supposed to mean something like radio in motion, but they came up with the name Motorola. Later on, Paul Gavin changed the name of Gavin Manufacturer to Motorola. What's interesting about that is that Motorola was the radio that was used during the Apollo 11 mission when they first landed on the moon. So that's very interesting because Neil Armstrong used a Motorola, I guess, radio to communicate back to the base, saying this is one giant step for mankind. Now to continue, so I'm showing you the link. Okay, this started with Bob Lazar, goes into John Lear. I'm giving you a background on who John Lear's father is, Bill Lear, who sort of helped invent Motorola and invented the 8-track, Learjet, and a bunch of other things. So what I'm trying to show you is that these people that are connected have credentials. Now, going back to John Lear, he's on the show Decoded. He's claiming that the Bob Lazar did take him to a lake in the area of Area 51 to show him these UFOs flying around. And John Lear made this claim on national TV. He's a guy who has no need, I guess, to make false claims. Because you can look him up here on YouTube. There's a lot of information about him. Now, John Lear's Wikipedia page was deleted sometime in 2007, I believe. Why, I don't know, but I was looking for it. I couldn't find it, and what I found was that it was deleted. Now, talking about Wikipedia pages that have been deleted that might be of interest to you is Phil Schneider. Now, Phil Schneider, Wiki's page was deleted, I believe, at the beginning of the year, of this year, 2011, or maybe late 2010. Phil Schneider's a person that was actually in the mid-90s, went out on a few lectures disclosing his experience of working at Area 51. Excuse me, I don't think he, let me take that back. I'm not sure if he claimed that he worked at Area 51, but he claims to have worked at an underground military installation in Doshi. So I'm going to talk about Phil Schneider now. He's a very interesting character. One of the reasons I want to bring him up is his story. It's just, I believe that this man is saying what he was saying, and he believed the story. So, his story is very interesting. Before I continue, also one of the reasons I bring him up is that his Wikipedia page was deleted, I believe, early this year. Now, I'll start off with reading a little bit of information here off the internet. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare a script for this episode. But, Phil Schneider, was born in 1947 at the Bethesda Naval Hospital. His parents were Oscar and Sally Schneider. His father, Oscar Schneider, was a captain in the United States Navy who worked in nuclear medicine and helped design the first nuclear submarines. Captain Schneider was also part of Operation Crossroads, which was responsible for the testing of nuclear weapons in the Pacific Bikini Island. Now, Phil Schneider does, some of his lectures, some of the video here on YouTube, you'll find that he shows pictures of nuclear bombs being tested on Bikini Island that he supposedly got from his dad. And that he also claims that his dad was part of the Philadelphia experiment. Now, Phil Schneider claims that he was a structural engineer for the government who was involved in building underground military bases around the United States. He also claims that he's the one of 3 people to survive an incident that occurred in 1979 between aliens and the U.S. military at the Dulce underground base in New Mexico. Now, Phil Schneider came out with his story in 1994. He came public with his story in 1994, and 2 years later, he was found dead in his apartment. Some suggest that he was murdered, including his ex-wife and his friends. But Phil Schneider, was interesting is about his story about the gray aliens. I'm not gonna get into the story because there's enough videos here on YouTube for you to do your own research. I posted a clip of one of his videos here myself, and I'm gonna post a link right under this. But there's other people that have like a lot of videos on him, and you can check him out. Phil Schneider, very interesting character. His Wikipedia page was deleted at the beginning of this year, which is interesting. But just go ahead and check the information out. I'm a skeptic. Okay, I'm a skeptic when it comes to people making these claims. But what's interesting about Phil Schneider is that I actually believe that he believes what he was saying. So I want to believe the man. I believe that he believes what he was saying. But his story is just incredible. It's just like, wow, like is this really true? So it's interesting. Look him up. Have a good one. Enjoy.